Coast to coast, and it comes after another win on the road, which was great news. Oscar Allen and Hamish Brayshaw join us as they do each and every week in the most talked about podcast in AFL football. First of all, how was Shark Park?
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great deck, and unfortunately didn't get to see too much of it when I was chasing tail, but it was a 125-point loss, and I would have much rather been swimming at SeaWorld with the Sharks than out at East Freo.
And Oscar, MCG, just to win on the road is one, and with I don't want to say it and be disrespectful, with an undermanned lineup and an inexperienced lineup, but to go to the MCG and win on the road, great achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way we've been focusing on it is not necessarily just that we win, but more so how we play, and the results kind of put in the back pocket. It's about how we perform, playing our roles and doing it for each other, and I thought we did that pretty well on the weekend. I'm not sure how it would have looked as a viewing game, but I thought we dominated large stretches of the game, probably in the first quarter, and didn't get results from it. But to win that game like that, tick the box, get the monkey off the back away from home, and looking forward to the challenge.
A bit of Joel Embiid, trust the process about it.
Yeah,
it's a really good one to get away, and I did think you dominated for most of the game. I mean, even in that first quarter, we just couldn't hit the goals, but you looked in control, and then from the second quarter onwards, it sort of panned out the way we would have liked. So a very good game. As
a young player, but a player, of course, of 50 games experience, you've got Harry Edwards or Bailey Williams, who's going to join us a little bit later in the podcast, and Luke Foley coming on as the medical sub. It just must give great heart, even though you're only a youngster yourself, to see the new names and the club using the opportunity at this time with the injury-ravaged list to give guys field time.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. There's obviously injuries, but I've got probably to the weird stage of my career where you've gone from the young player that's coming in, and it's not that nothing's expected of you, but just come in and try your best and play your role, and the outcome's not going to necessarily be on you, to becoming probably more of a senior player in the side, a little bit older and probably having a little bit more leadership put on my shoulders going into the game. And even Josh Rotham, before last year, he'd played 2 games, and now he's a settled member of our back six and one of our more important players. I think so far this year has been unbelievably consistent. And our whole backline, take out probably Brad Shepherd, have been in and out and haven't been guaranteed a game until probably 2019 to 2020. So to have a great performance from our backline was really great to see.
It's tough. It's going to be tough.
Yep.
It's tough giving them in a loss, but in a win like that, it's hard.
Well, yeah, there was it was a pretty even spread of performance of blokes playing well on the weekend, and we have narrowed it down to a 3-2-1 with a
counsel.
I have sought a bit of counsel, but I have sought counsel, and then eventually I've just gone with my gut. So there was a gut call, but we will be giving honourable mentions today. It was one of those games. Okay, let's talk about that first quarter. And social media was abuzz with the goalless first quarter. And again, we know the facts are out there. It was the first goalless game at the MCG since 1994. But your score at the end, combined goal score, was the second highest score after a goalless first quarter in the history of the game.
That's a great stat.
Yeah, a tremendous useless stat.
Gaffy and I were talking about this after the game on the bus ride to the aeroplane, and he mentioned the fact that it was the first goalless quarter at the MCG for obviously a long period of time. But we were interested in, after a goalless quarter, there was 10 goals kicked in the second quarter. That would have to be up there for the most goals kicked ever after a goalless quarter. Because you think goalless quarter, wet weather game, is probably not going to open up that much.
And then all of a sudden the floodgates did open. Gaffy is one of those blokes, outside of probably yourself, Goss. I don't know many blokes that love a useless AFL stat, or a useless stat in general, more than that bloke.
Yeah.
But, you can... if you really wanted to these days, you can you can make a stat up after 100%. Anything. You could just say, the first time in AFL history that there has been no one take a clean possession for 23 seconds and then 2 handballs in the next 2 seconds. You could just make anything up if you wanted to, and that's what we love with the useless AFL stats.
Well, Jack Darling launched himself into the top 10 for most goals at the MCG by non-Victorian players. He's now got 50.
Yep.
Matthew Pavlich leads the way. Peter Sumich is second, and Joshy Kennedy is down there in 9th, and Jack now gets into the top 10 with 50 goals.
So JK's only 9th and JD's 10th. How far behind is he?
Have you got that? Goal. Have you got the full list there?
1 goal.
So you're telling me Jack Darling has only kicked 1 less goal at the MCG than Josh Kennedy?
100%.
That is very interesting. So who was number one? Pav, obviously.
Pav 87, Summer 82, Modra 79, O'Loughlin 68, Good 64, Lockett 59, obviously through his Sydney days, Jonathan Brown 54, Jarman Darren 51, JK 51, and Jack Darling 50. Most goals kicked in the MCG by non-Victorian players.
I find that very hard to believe because Josh Kennedy always kicks goals no matter where he goes. It's not like he's a player that kicks 8 one week and then doesn't kick a goal at all. He's a very consistent forward that kicks goals week in, week out.
Yeah, that is interesting stuff.
Not saying Jack isn't, but Jack's probably going to play for another 7 or 8 years the way he's going, and his body's in great nick.
Don't know that he'll catch Pav, but...
You keep talking, and I will delve further into that. Okay, that was Sir Swamp Thing, who is a bit of a stats guru, of course. At quarter time, or even in that closing stages of that first quarter, and we've asked Simo, did he realise it was a goalless first quarter? And he sort of didn't. And he reckons he went down and JK said, just keep giving us the supply and we'll deliver eventually. Just tell us on the ground what you're thinking. You're looking up the board and the siren again and you go, we didn't kick a goal and nor did they. What was the player process?
It was probably just a bit of an obscure quarter, really. We're probably the most efficient, well, I think we are the most efficient team when it goes inside forward 50 for the last 2 or 3 years. And to have 16 inside 50s in the first quarter and not kick a goal and not have a mark inside forward 50 either, that was probably the one thing that was mentioned. Not only getting it in, but having probably a little bit more composure when we went inside the forward line. But you're confident that it's going to turn. We've got such quality in our front line.
I mean, it does get a bit like that. Sometimes you can get caught up with looking at the scoreboard and thinking, we're not that far in front. We feel like we've dominated the game, but I think the leadership that a lot of the blokes in the West Coast show is that when you're in that position, it's not, we should be miles in front and we're not, so we get edgy. It's, we are winning this game regardless of what the scoreboard says. So if we keep that going, it'll eventually tick over for us, which I think we did.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you look at the scoreboard, it makes it harder to understand what's actually happening in the game in a weird way. Yeah. Good footballers go off feel, and I feel like a lot of guys that play in the AFL know the game relatively well, and then long behold, 10 minutes into the second quarter, up by 4 goals. And we think, well, okay, whatever. And you just get on with playing and let the scoreboard take care of itself.
Exactly, correct.
JK 58 goals, but that included his time at Carlton.
Well, there you go. That makes still...
That doesn't change much for me.
We've got more at the Docklands. But he hasn't played that many games at the MCG.
He's played more than Jack Darling there. Like, how many games more has Josh Kennedy played than Jack Darling?
At the MCG?
Talking.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Keep talking. I'll go to the useless stats. You just keep talking.
So, Hammer, obviously, Archie.
Yeah, speaking of goals, Chi.
Speaking of goals and taking your opportunity, Brendan Archie.
My man, Chi. Goss is a bit, his hands are occupied, so I'll give it the old knock, knock, knock.
Oh, hang on, I can do that. Hang on, wait a minute.
Yeah, there it is. I do love the goals in the Hammer-Time vote, so we'll see where, if at all, my guy Chi comes into it. But no, what a story of taking your chances. I mean, he's come in he'd been playing waffle, and in he comes, and bang, thanks for coming.
I think him on the weekend, and also Bailey Williams, who we're going to have on the show later, shows the importance of waffle footy.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're not just talking about win-loss results at the end of the day. It's about developing and getting your body right for those that have had injuries, or getting your confidence right for those that are out of form. Because he comes into the side, and no disrespect to what we had last year with the scrimmage, we obviously couldn't play waffle football, but it probably made it harder for guys to come in to be at their best form-wise.
Yeah, looking at the scrimmages last year, you'd get games where it was 12 on 12 or 14 on 14, and it is hard to emulate a game. I mean, I remember having my first AFL game last year and thinking to myself, like, I feel like this is easier running wise than the scrimmage. Like, I feel like I'm actually fitter out here because I got to come to the bench. I didn't have to spend 60 minutes straight just running around. I actually got to come and often have a breather, and the ground is not as big because there's 18 blokes on there. So, yeah, I think actually playing a game of football really helps, and you get guys like Chi and even X O'Neill, like he plays well at waffle, and then you get your confidence to come up and play well at the next level, and he really took his opportunity kicking 4.
Just confirming, so now we've got 37 games I'm thinking on the run here. 37 games at the MCG for JK. Then that's including Carlton.
Including Carlton, yep.
And JD Darling 25.
Wow, so he kicks 2 a game at the G. JD. No, good on him.
You're still doubtful, aren't you? You look at me thinking I've completely missed that up.
Yeah, I believe you, but also I believe JK's kicked a lot more goals at the MCG than 50.
Okay.
I've never thought JK doesn't kick many goals at the G.
Yeah, it was. I thought you might have whispered a swear word there, which was
I went
the second week in a row. Hey, all right. In regards to the WAFL, now Voz, the head of football, was quizzed about a number of things during the week by the media. In particular, coming off that, you mentioned that disappointing loss down at Shark Park. It was a pretty poor result.
Abysmal performance.
You only had, half a dozen AFL listed players?
Yeah, we had 6. So looking at it, I remember the first round, we were actually speaking about this as a Waffle Leadership Group last night. The first game we played as a club, the Waffle Eagles, was in the first round 1, 2019 in the Waffle. We had 3 non-listed players playing, which means we had 19 AFL listed players, and that is a stark contrast to what we saw on the weekend where we had 6. So, it's just the ebbs and flows of the way that works. But we definitely are going in a bit undermanned.
And it's the same with the AFL side. The tides will change. We'll get senior players back, which means the depth will come back. Then there'll be really good AFL players playing in the Waffle side. Yeah. There'll be more depth there, and
it's just the way it goes. I mean, even the start of this year, we had 12 players playing 3 weeks ago, and now 6 this week. So it's just the way it goes, and we understand that at the Waffle. The boys that are on our Waffle list understand that, and the fact that that's just the way it goes and the way it'll work. So
have a listen to this. This is Craig Vozzo, head of football, talking about the Waffle situation. Have a listen on Coast to Coast.
We've got a reduced list. So in the past, we've had 45, 46 players with Cat B players. There wasn't a sub rule previously. So now when there's an away game, and even on home games, you have to travel to a sub and an emergency on top of that. And then we've got such limited recruiting rights. And we're not in a position to be recruiting players from interstate to play for our Waffle team. So there's a gap between amateur standard and Waffle standard, which is terrific. We want to maintain the Waffle at the highest possible level, but when you've got 5 or 6 of our 19, 20-year-olds playing with a group of amateurs, 2 from Swan Districts on the weekend or on loan, and 1 first game from Wembley Downs, and I think we had 2 or 3 playing their second, maybe 3 or 4, our second Waffle game from amateurs. Very hard to compete, but it's not about winning the premiership for us. It's about development, which you've touched on, and it's really hard to get the development outcomes when you have a game that unfolded on the weekend against the Sharks.
What do you anticipate being the solution to that to try and increase your prospects?
There's various solutions, I think. One is a broader recruiting rights, and if that's not acceptable, an alignment with another Waffle club, potentially as we've had in the past. But something has to change, or we need to make another decision in a different direction. We're patient, we're understanding, and we respect the Waffle competition greatly and its heritage, but we can't have what happened on the weekend for too much longer.
Would you anticipate maybe distributing players back to clubs?
That's not our preference, no. We'd like them in the one spot if we can in some form or another, just for their growth and development from a performance perspective together. You played, you're the captain.
Yep.
Tell us how genuinely you can make, and I know you try and make light of it at a point, how difficult it was, to the point was it almost embarrassing?
Yeah, I mean, it was. You don't walk off the ground losing by 20 goals and think, geez, that was a good effort. But again, like Voz spoke about it then, and we don't want to make excuses, but we're such a, we have the way it works and the restrictions that we put on our club. If what is happening at AFL level with injuries, and if that happens, we're going to be in a position where we can't compete for 4 quarters of footy. I mean, if you take the game in isolation, we reviewed last night and we took 15 minutes from the start of the third quarter. Praddy had given us a rev up at half time, and we wanted to go out and focus on a few things in that third quarter, and we were competitive. I mean, the inside 50s, we had 8 inside 50s in the first 15 minutes of the third quarter, and for the whole game we had 16. So, if you take it in chunks, we, regardless of who we've got on the park, our spirit and our energy can be competitive, but with what we, with the way we have to go about it, we're just not able to be competitive for 4 quarters. But touching on Voz's point, it isn't acceptable to lose by that much. But we could very easily, in 2 weeks' time, get 9 listed players back, and all of a sudden we're going to win games. I mean, it happened in 2019. I'm sure it's going to happen again this year. So it's not all doom and gloom. But yeah, it's just the way it works.
Well said. Absolutely well said. And anyone who crosses the line is cracking in. So, you can't question blokes.
Yeah.
Even those blokes who are coming from faraway places just to fill in the numbers, they come there, and whether they like the Eagles or not, they're there for a job, and that is to make out the 22.
I mean, yeah, exactly. We spoke about this. We had a meeting last night with the Waffle boys. No one goes out there to lose games of footy. Everyone, and we couldn't stress it enough. Like everyone who goes out there, whether you've been on an AFL list for 3 years, or whether you're playing your first game up in league footy from an amateur club, you give everything you can and you put in. You can't question anyone's effort, but sometimes it just gets shown up. But it might appear that you can question effort on game day, but it's these guys just are playing their first game and inexperienced. But you really just sort of the way it works will we'll bounce back.
Did you watch the stream?
I did, yeah. I was watching it with Archie, actually.
Yep.
His brother made his debut for East Freo. And
played very well.
Yeah, I think he kicked a couple of goals, did he?
Kicked a couple, yep.
Yeah, and we're watching it. Same points that Hammer have touched on. You can definitely see spirit and energy, but at a certain stage, it's just hard. A lot of guys, and Daniel Pratt, the coach, he's also a forward line development coach, mentioned to me it's tough when the 3 blokes that debuted were introduced to the group on Friday at the captain's run before the game. So it's tough, and we'll find ways to bounce back. And blokes coming back from injury will be important. And on that injury, we actually haven't discussed this.
Yep.
Liam Duggan, another soldier that's gone down. I'm not sure what his timeline is. Probably 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, 4 or 5. The injuries are going to hurt us. And just on Daniel Pratt, I was speaking to him about it the other day. He had a pretty similar experience. He coached our women's team this year, and there was a game where we had to bring up. I did a little bit of help through there. But there was a game where we had to, on the Thursday or the Tuesday night training, had 2 women from Claremont come and train on. And I think one of them was the emergency for that game, and Paris Laurie, our ruckman, went down, and she was ready. And this a woman from Claremont, was ready to run out, and it would have been the same scenario. Just someone who's had to come off because of the injuries and because of numbers. So Praddy's pretty experienced in that, the realm of where we're at, knows how to deal with it, and I think, he's probably the best man for the job, in my humble opinion. I think he'll be good for us, and we'll bounce back.
Good stuff. Speaking of experience and players coming back from injury, are we any chance to see the Bungster this week?
That's a great question. I'm very unsure. Aussie, you're training with him. I just see him around the traps, and he's a very, very humble man, and just is very similar in the way he speaks to you, regardless of whether he's injured or he's flying. So I can't get much from just talking to him. So you're going to have to give us a bit more.
Well, that's the problem. I have no clue, because he's genuinely the same person all the time.
Yeah, how you going, Buck? Yeah, pretty good, mate. Pretty good.
So going
broken foot? Yeah, it's not too bad, mate. That's fine.
So going into the game against Fremantle, I've been told in the morning, you know what, we'll back our back line up.
Yep,
Bunga will play tall, you play forward, it'll be all good. Do a captain's run. And Simo comes up and says, Bung just walked off without finishing training, just walked off, and he never does that. He's always the last one out there.
Yep.
He might not be right. And I went, geez, all right, well, I better go check on him. And see him in the change room. We go, Bung, how you going? Yeah, good, mate.
Yeah, pretty good.
How'd you train? Hit a couple well, hit a couple poorly. Oh, good.
Aussie walks something and I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I go into physios and said, have you guys spoken to Bung? And they go, no, what's wrong? I've got to ask him. I go into the change rooms and I say, Bunga, how you going, mate? Yeah, good. Are you going to play? Oh, nah, man. Nah,
did my calf.
Did my calf 10 minutes ago. And I went, thanks for letting me know, mate. And then that's how I find out I'm playing down back again.
Well, now you know how hard it is for the media to get a story.
Yeah, well, he's a recluse, Bung, so it's very hard to squeeze some information out.
And he's unapologetically himself, which we love.
We do love that.
He's a great man.
All right, let's rattle off some of the headlines of the week. Port Adelaide's decision to wear the prison bar jumpers post-game.
Yeah, great.
Cheeky or churlish?
Cheeky and loved every second of it.
Awesome.
So I didn't actually watch the game. I didn't watch the end of the game. I flicked it off and I remember watching it thinking, all right, they're not wearing the prison bars. And then I saw the AFL posted something of them singing the jumper in it. And I thought, geez, if they went to their page, and I thought if they just posted it from years gone by, and then anyway, I read the story online that they'd swapped it up going down the race, which just a massive power play.
I can't believe the AFL saying, I don't want to get in the bad books with the AFL, but them saying if you wear the jumper, you'll be deducted 4 premiership points. So that was it was posed to them. I would have loved them to power move.
Yeah, I can have a bit more of an opinion on this because I'm no longer in it, but I just think it's ridiculous. I mean, the Collingwood stuff, you're playing Adelaide in the showdown. You're kilometres and kilometres away from Collingwood. They've got nothing to do with it, I think. Just who cares? It's not like they wear it every game. Sure, I understand if it's in the contract that you can't play Collingwood in your prison bars jumper, but if it's a showdown against Adelaide, I think it's a massive who cares.
Yeah, agree.
100% agree. Shea Bolton's mark of the year, there's no doubt about that.
Yep.
It was a fair climb, and of course, it's a couple of years now. that Mark Blixarves has been a poster boy. He's been underneath
he has been under a few of them old Blix, and a tall man to get on top of. And, geez, that was a grab. That was a grab. So I remember I was actually in the kitchen getting dinner, and it was on, and my phone just started blowing up because we've got a little group chat. The boys just said, "My goodness, Bolton, Bolton, Bolton," and I had, because I wasn't paying attention, the game was on in the other room. I thought, has Jai Bolton done something from the Waffle? So I quickly looked him up on Instagram. He'd done nothing because a few of the boys are mates with him. Anyway, then went and watched the footy and saw the replay, and just standing on his shoulders with a genuine half a foot of space between him.
Really, do I say it's disappointed in the commentary for it?
Yeah.
I thought the commentary let it down like big time. That was Liam Ryan-esque. BT.
JB?
JB.
Uncle
JB didn't have the call at the time. He had to come and try and fix up the mess, I think.
Well, he usually gets right up and about for stuff like this.
It was BT's call.
He was it's a good fly. And I was like, what do you mean? That is one of the best marks I've ever seen. Like, get it up and about. But, so, you know, when you hear the commentary and not really get up, you think, am I overrating this in the back of my head?
Yeah.
Or like, what are people not seeing it the same as me? But then you get social media and it's blowing up. Yeah.
I mean, that is, it just, you can't underestimate people who, obviously, a lot of people don't play football, but to watch that and to understand how difficult that is, I can't jump over a jam tin and you've taken a couple of really good contested marks and you've got up, but to get on top of someone's shoulders the way Bolt did is just incredible and so difficult.
The way him and Liam do it, I just don't understand. I reckon I've taken one, like, almost, I'd say, a dangle against that game against Collingwood, and I fall face first, and I don't stay up there for more than half a second. I get up, mark it, and then
he's very awkward.
Yeah, he sits there, bounces off him, takes a mark, winks to the camera while in midair, and then lands on his feet. I don't understand how that happens.
Yeah, you look as graceful as a dog taking a crap, and they are just floating up there.
Yeah, fair
It's
cool.
Incredible. Very, very good.
If you want to do yourself a favour, as Molly would say, try and track down Anthony Hudson's call on AFL Nation.
Was that a cracker?
Because he called Nick's mark over Blixarves, and then 7 or 8 years later he's called...
good.
It was a great call, and it was a great goal. Great mark. Speaking of great goals, goal of the year contenders, Jermaine Jones, unlucky not to be considered in the top 3 of the round, from half back, the run through. I know it's not brilliant, I get that, but the work rate. Is that 240?
Nah.
It does often happen that they will take clips where, goals. If you look at the goal in and of itself, he's just running into 50 and kicks it from 40 and it goes in.
He did have a fumble.
Yeah, I mean, if you take the goal 2 seconds before he kicked it to, when the ball goes in, it's not. That's a pretty easy goal, You're an AFL player, you should be able to kick it. You rewind the clock back. He's got it from half back, broke the line, got the kick, got the handball back, run, fumbled, picked it up clean, kicks a goal. Like that's a very, very good sausage. I remember, I think Daniel Kerr had one where he took, running bounces through the middle, bounce back. Yeah,
in the Derby, hey, that was goal of the year.
That was goal of the year. But if you just look at the goal itself, it's just a goal. But you take the whole thing, it's amazing the fact that he's been able to do it. Yes. And I think it's a bit...
Yeah, it was a good goal, but there are better goals.
Yes, there are better goals, correct.
It was a good goal, well done, but he wins the West Coast goal of the round.
He wins the well done goal of the round.
You go back to Kerr's one, and I think he did enough before he kicked the goal to be like, this is incredible. Whereas, JJ just
crowd was going ballistic.
Crowd was going ballistic.
And Kerry's taken like 8 bounces and taken myself. JJ's handballed,
kicked it, got it back.
15 metres.
And, I certainly couldn't do it because I'm not.
I could not either. I'm very slow.
I remember Brent Harvey had one at Marvel. He kicked. It was the best point I've ever seen. Hit the post, but he had it, and he used to do this all the time. Take blokes on and take bounces. Massive North supporter I was growing up. I was there watching, and he got it in the back pocket. And I reckon from post to from when he got it to when he kicked it, he would have had maybe 7 or 8 bounces. Sold candy a few times, got it back, and just the crowd started at a simmer and just got louder and louder and louder. And by the end, it was a boiling pot, and everyone was going nuts. And he kicked it, and everyone stopped. and then he hit the post. It would have brought the roof off. Back then was the Telstra Dome, I think. Would have absolutely brought the roof off the place.
The atmosphere at the game is a big contributor to how good the goal was.
The goal is, absolutely.
Like, the moment, the crowd,
So the
how
crowd didn't go
important it is to
ballistic
the
when
game.
Jermaine Jones slotted his from...
All 8,000
All 8,000
of them.
yeah.
No, they were pretty mild.
But yes, a very good goal.
It was a good goal. Just well done is the Oscar Allen's
Yeah,
exclamation.
just well done.
Yeah, well done.
May we chat just for a brief moment?
Oh, here
Sorry
we
to
go.
dig up old wounds.
Here we go.
But did you get your teeth into the Batmobile since we last...
I have no interest in the Batmobile.
Why don't you have an interest? It was the most talked about thing on socials.
I did see it. I did see it. I had a look. I had a little after we finished what was an interesting discussion on the Coast to Coast podcast last week.
Yeah. Trying to implore on you guys to jump on board.
I did have a look at it and had a look back, and it was interesting. Clarko tweeted something about it. From memory, but yeah, it's an interesting looking thing. I'm not sure. I mean, my recollection of the Batmobile. I'm a millennial, so I've seen Christian Bale ride around in
Looks way cooler than that
way
thing.
cooler
I'm
than
not sure.
the light blue.
I'm not sure what that was, but that certainly doesn't turn into a helicopter and fly. That is not the Batmobile.
No, it's not. It certainly wasn't. So the history says that though blokes who own it, who gave it to Hawthorn to display it in the build-up, and Andrew Gowers and all the boys from the 91 Premiership team, the Hawthorn Premiership team, drove it in as a part of the promotion. It's owned by some Hawthorn fans who bought it on auction for $23,000.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed that I know that. I did actually hear that, and I love footy fans, but it's a little bit nuffy buying an old car that was driven out in the 1991 grand final and paying $20,000 for it.
I mean, if you've got enough money, it'd be worth it. But yeah.
Who's done the programming for this? And I'm going to ask you to go back to the waffle. WA playing South Australia in Adelaide, yet the Crows are playing West Coast at Optus Stadium. Would have been the perfect
curtain raiser.
Curtain raiser?
I know.
Because it's curtain raiser at Adelaide for Port Adelaide Bulldogs.
Yeah, so I mean, it is very interesting. I thought, first of all, I didn't know the state league. We didn't know the state league game was going to go ahead. They said that it was sort of up in the air, and then I'm very glad they got it away because it's always a good one to go watch. But it would have just been a perfect scenario to have
South
here.
Australia played here, I think, 2 years ago. That's why it has to be played over there.
It has
but
to be
I would have
played
thought
over
the way
there.
the schedule had fallen, it would have been ideal game to be played.
Yeah, no question. I'm not sure if there's any. I don't know if there's any restrictions with government travel or the rest of it, so it could have just been either way. But
some players are reticent. The coaches have been reticent to go. Hayden Stoyth had personal reasons; he's out of it. A couple of others, and some of the coaches have pulled out. You've played against them all, and you know a few. If you've seen the South Australian lineup, there's a lot of experience in that lineup.
Yep.
Even an ex-Eagle, Luke Partington's in there too.
Yeah, he would be.
Did Mellon get a run?
Nah, unfortunately, didn't Matty Allen. He'd be, but Pardo would be my pick of the bunch on the South Australian side of things. He's a very, very handy player.
Has WA announced the team that's going to play yet?
No, not yet. The squad's been announced.
Yeah, I saw the squad.
No, nothing yet. They only got together for the first time
Monday night.
Yeah. And basically did a light stretch.
Yep.
There you go.
Can they win it though? From you see on canvas the WA squad versus South Australian squad, are we good enough?
I think definitely we are good enough. I mean, I haven't watched enough Samford footy outside of Glenelg because I got a couple of friends there, but they always are very strong. SA, and they're all contested animals, so it's going to be interesting to see. But the blokes that they've got on paper, in every line, it's a state game. You're always going to have a pretty good side. So I'll be definitely keeping a close eye on it and be interesting to see.
Dare I say, the battle of the two most disrespected state league competitions, in my opinion, humble opinion, the two best state league competitions.
Yeah, well, it'll be. I completely agree. So it'll be interesting to see how we go.
It's time for this. Well, who would we introducing here on Coast to Coast with a song like that? The goal song, that is.
Yeah, the goal song for 2019, if they kicked it, 2020 if he kicked a goal. Bailey Williams, the big man. Run us through the thought process behind the song selection.
The song, I don't know. Spoiled for choice, really. I didn't know what to go for.
There are lots of songs. There are lots of songs.
Get something funny.
So, get something funny and exciting. I like it. Not too bad. Welcome
aboard to Coast to Coast. And interesting fun fact. And now, Oscar, you are the king of the fun facts, which you like.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go with a fun fact. That's your first game of AFL football out of Queensland.
Yeah, first game, out of Queensland. So
your fourth AFL game overall.
Yeah, fourth
two at
game.
Carrara, one at the Gabba. But you played against Victorian teams in all 4 games.
There you go. That's
Yeah,
a
I
couple
just
of use
realised that.
here. We're the home of the useless AFL stats here.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah,
but
but there you go.
I've just used all my good stuff now. So boys.
First game of the G-Baz. How was it?
First game. Yeah, awesome, mate. I'd actually played there a little bit as under 18s,
This is a stinking story.
but it doesn't actually count apparently.
So how's like pre-game meeting? We're talking about new changes, new things, and Simo's gone looking for someone who hasn't played at the G.
Yep.
He's gone, Baz, you wouldn't have played at the G. Baz's like, oh yeah, I have played 18s there.
So actually, mate, I have.
Yeah,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
then, and
Yeah.
Simo's just looking like, shut up, mate. Doesn't count.
Oh, yeah. Imagine someone rolls in. Yeah, I actually played Auskick there as a junior at half time.
Let's talk about biding your time for that call-up on the weekend. Obviously, you'd come off the ankle. You'd had a couple of runs with our Waffle Eagles. How frustrating is that? And also waiting for your opportunity because of personnel.
Yeah, so it was a bit of an interrupted run towards playing, I guess. Yeah, come off a little hip flexor and then ankle as well, and then sort of had to bide me time and have a few rough weeks in the Waffle, and luckily got the call-up. So
When you say rough weeks in the Waffle, what do you mean by that?
I think we got beat by 10 goals. About
Yeah, well,
3
you're
times
lucky you
in a
missed
row.
this week, mate. It was 20.
More on that coming up.
Yeah,
we're going to hear from Craig
unfortunately.
Vozzo about all of that. Take you back to the hub life and pandemic time, and being a young man a long way from home. You know what I mean. What was that like? Not seeing the family, and even playing footy when I don't know what their access was and the like. How difficult was that?
I suppose I'm probably a little bit used to it being interstate club and being away from family, so it didn't actually bother me too much being in the hub. It was good to have the boys around as well, so it was good that the fam got to come the other day and watch me play.
Yeah, looking back at the hub, it was a different experience, I think, for blokes like us, young fellas, as opposed to Luke Shuey, who goes away from a kid and a wife. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the hub, and when we had to go back for round number 2, I loved it. It was great fun. You got to hang out with all your mates all day, every day for 4 or 5 weeks at a time. I thought it was great.
It was such a weird time. Like sometimes I think back on the hub, did that really happen?
Yeah.
So some of the stuff, like we start the year and we lose like every game by a lot, and then everyone hates it. And then the second hub, I'm not sure how you guys felt. I loved the second hub. Like everyone was looking forward to it, and then everyone was injured, so all the young boys were playing.
Everyone was getting a game.
Everyone was getting a game, and then we beat St Kilda. It was a pretty fun time.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it for me, there were times where you're in the thick of it, and you're obviously playing AFL. But Baz, we were playing scrimmages, and some of those games you'd roll out, and it would be, you'd be playing 12 on 12 on a full ground for 60 minutes with no rotations and no one on the bench. So you're tonguing it by the end, and it's just, I've got to do this, and then you're driving home, and you take your little vans, and there's 5 or 6 of the boys in there. They've had a rough game, and it's like, who wants Maccas? And everyone just gets up and about, and everyone's happy. We get a McFlurry, and then all of a sudden, you're just sitting at home and you're watching the boys play footy that night, and it's just great. I mean, the highs and lows of it were awesome, but I think for blokes like us, I loved it.
Yeah, you would have preferred Hungry Jacks, mind you.
Yeah, of course. Sorry about that.
Supporters
Our
of
major
footy club.
sponsors.
No, fantastic, boys. Just in regards, and not want to talk about the blokes down the road. So you reckon they would have jumped at the opportunity of getting out of town as quick as they did to go over and turning their fixture around? I'm talking about Freo, to get over there, and it would have united them, albeit they didn't win. Would you have taken that opportunity if they said hub or stay and risk? How would you have gone?
Yeah, I think it's just making a decision and sticking to it. So they probably weighed up the pros and cons, and they could wait here and kind of be dictated to by other people, or they could just say, you know what, we'll go over there and we'll stay over there, and we won't even have this train of thought that, maybe we'll come back, maybe we'll stay there, which you got to respect. And they took it in their stride, and I thought they played pretty well.
Yep.
And had a pretty admirable performance. So, I mean, they can't really do much about it. I think Brizzy had a similar situation, and Brisbane didn't prepare for it because it happened whilst they were away, so they were kind of stuck. So I think Freo went in with the mindset of, we might be stuck away, let's prepare for it, and if we happen to come home, then cool. So probably happy with how they went about it, really.
I
And
think so.
performed relatively well on the weekend against good Brizzy.
Where do you reckon you hung the photo, the painting?
Oh, it would have been above the master bedroom suite in the presidential suite, old Fifey. Who was?
Bales, can we just ask you about training and rucking against 1-0 Allen? What's that like?
Yeah.
Do you remember when we had that last pre-season? We had that obstacle
the
course.
circuit.
Yeah, the circuit.
Yeah, we actually don't do a lot of ruck stuff together, do we?
I barely ruck.
Not much. So,
What was the run us through the circuit?
So the circuit was basically a whole ground, and you had a goal square, one wing, the other wing, and you do a boundary throw in, and then you compete and then get the ball, then you do a ball up, then you sprint across the whole ground to the other wing, do the same thing, and then sprint to the goal square and do a contested
Was
one-on-one.
this in rehab?
This was just pre-season training, wasn't it?
This was, I reckon, after the lockdown.
After the COVID break.
After the COVID break.
Still sort of in pairs or groups of 10 or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I think this was like the week before we were playing, and it was kind of like, I think, I wasn't really sure who was going to play backup ruck at that
no, it was a
stage.
bit up in the air, wasn't it? And
Because
then
Reg played round 1.
Yep.
And then I think I ended up playing backup
You ended
ruck
up
round
playing.
2.
yeah, you did. I was in rehab. I did a
So
hammy.
yeah, that's right. You were going to
Yeah,
play,
I was
and then
out
you
for a
did a
little
hammy.
bit. Yeah, and then Reg come in.
So it was a weird time, but I barely ruck. I do 1 centre bounce a week, I reckon,
Yeah.
just in case. And you ruck more than play forward at training, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I do a fair bit of ruck. Yeah, probably half.
Well, I'd say
Yeah.
you're more of a. You're obviously good forward, but I'd say you're more long-term ruck forward than forward ruck.
Probably long term, yeah. Probably work into the ruck role a
Do you
little
think
bit more.
That's your favourite position? Or would you prefer to be a forward ruck? Because there's obviously, I mean, other guys, like young guys in the list, like Callum Jamison for one, he prefers to be a forward ruck.
Yeah.
Where do you sit with it?
Kicking goals is good.
Yeah.
I like being in the forward line, but to get up around the footy and actually get a touch is good as well.
You're more. I mean, I hope you don't have to come back to the waffle too often, but when you are there, I think playing in the ruck, you'll be around the footy far more often than
I think
say
I'm 100% ruck at waffle at this stage.
Yeah,
So.
which is good. We need you around there.
Speaking of kicking goals has a lot to do with the Hammer Time votes.
Sure does.
They're not too far away, so we'll keep an eye on that one. When you do kick a goal, so you kick a goal at the MCG, home of footy, playing AFL footy.
Yeah.
What's that like? You're lining up. It was a bit of a put. It was 25 out directly in front.
Yeah.
Tell me the thought process is how nervous you were.
Yeah, well, yeah, it took me 3 goes. So the first 2, very nervous. Just you can't really emulate that pressure, I don't think, at training. Like, I'd never really been under that much pressure to kick
But
a
you zone
set
out
shot.
from where you are, or do you actually thinking to yourself, I'm actually playing AFL footy in a big game for our club, and I'm at the MCG, the home of footy, and my family's watching?
Yeah, probably a little bit. Yeah, had the mates there and the family there.
Absolutely.
I think the third one, Jake Waterman come up and said, mate, just take a breath. And I did, and then relax and just kicked it. So
Sweet.
it was awesome.
Yeah. And could you hear your mates?
Nah, they're up the other end. So just the Hawthorn Cheese Squad.
How many? You are a Dandenong boy?
Dandenong.
Yeah. So how many of the boys did you have come watching?
Nah, not heaps of Dandenong boys. It was just schoolmates.
Schoolmates,
3 or
yeah.
4.
Small crowd.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Oh, West Coast and a Hawthorn side towards the bottom of the ladder at 1:10 on a Sunday isn't necessarily a prime time sport.
Mother's Day.
No, Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. There's a lot of other things going on.
Yep.
Another fun fact, we're the most played club on Mother's Day in the history of the competition.
Well, there you go.
That's another useful stat.
Yeah.
That's
you very
good.
much. Thank you
Gets us
very
out of Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Oh,
That's not too
don't
bad.
say that.
That worked well for us.
They'll be listening. Hey, on Ask Simo
Yes.
earlier in the week, he was asked a question about who would he go from the team on the weekend, who you would go to on a deserted island and why. So they had to be in the game against Hawthorn, so just to sort of narrow down his numbers. And he wouldn't answer it. He said, well, I only need them if they want to play football, and I'd rather go on my own and do the Tom Hanks castaway.
Yeah,
on his
right.
pad.
Wilson style.
Yeah. All right. So, boys, the question is open to you. Inside the group that played on the weekend,
Yep.
okay, Oscar, who would you go with on a deserted island? And you've got to give a reason why. And Bales, have a think about it.
It's a tough one because there's some notable admissions from the side on the weekend. So initially I'm thinking of Tom Barrass, but obviously didn't play because he's incredibly smart. And I'm also thinking,
Well, what's he going to do on a desert island by being smart?
well, he's resourceful. Like he can
MacGyver.
MacGyver. Make things up.
Yeah.
Realistically, I'd probably want someone to have a laugh with. I'm not sure many guys have that many skills. If you're on your own, you don't want to be with 2 blokes you hate.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're on a deserted island, you want to survive and live. I don't understand why there's a debate. I mean, didn't Nick Nat grow up on an island?
Correct.
And
True,
I would have thought,
very true.
this, and he's 6'8" and has a 10-foot reach. If there's stuff high up a tree, he can get it. And I can't think there'd be any question about it.
I reckon there's so much mayo on the fact he grew up on an island. He was born in Sydney. He wasn't born in Fiji. He was born in suburban Sydney. I'm not sure how many extra skills he has than that. All right, make the call.
Chi, living off the land.
Yeah, okay. All right, Brendan Archie.
Brendan Archie, yeah.
1 for me. And then number 2, I'd take Jack Redden. I reckon he's pretty funny and resourceful. We'd have a laugh. He'd stop me from going crazy.
And you die in a week.
I reckon he'd stop me from going crazy. I think
for sure.
you're more likely to die from going crazy rather than someone going to help you.
Yeah, well, there you go. Willow, what do you reckon?
Jared Cameron.
Yeah.
Handy.
Yep. Little handy man.
Hunter, Fisher.
Yeah, loves it
And
actually.
also a great kid and loves a laugh.
Didn't play on the weekend.
Oh, yeah, it was out of the squad,
out of the
wasn't
squad.
it?
Yeah.
I'm going to say...
And he was on a deserted island on the weekend inside the Ford 50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say Luke Foley then. Luke Foley actually got on the ground at the end.
Yeah.
He's a fisherman. He's a great fisherman, isn't he?
Is he
Yep,
really?
great
He is,
fisherman.
yeah, a
Great
tremendous
bloke.
angler.
Yep.
No, well done.
Another one.
One more.
One more.
Oh, we're skipping camo.
Just going to say Nick Nat as
Yeah,
well.
fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough. Jump
That
aboard.
works.
What do we got next? Oh, yeah.
What have we got next? That's a good edit. right there. All righty. Here we go. This
Welcome
is
back.
Yeah, Willow, you know what Who Are You is all about, don't you?
Yes,
I'll just give you the quick rundown. And for those listening along at home that are just jumping in on this one, I strongly suggest going back to the start of the season, but feel free. We've got what's called the mystery player or guess who. So I pick a current listed player at the West Coast Eagles, and I've got 10 clues about this person. Ranging from they start relatively difficult, and then by the end of it, it should be pretty much a soda. There is personal clues and there are football related clues. You guys can work together and see how you go.
Have you run this past the War
No, I
Office?
haven't because I've only just come into the club and I've only just sort of got them down on paper. So you guys are the first ones having a crack at this. Clue number 1. I always start with one like this. He's 25 or under.
25 or under. Okay. Thank you.
Willow's looking for a 10.
Yeah, I was going to look for...
Yeah, take
You
more.
guys
that
just
one with me.
right.
Right.
25 or under. Here we go. Question 2. His first car was a RAV4.
I've. Oh.
You'll find that sometimes Oscar just jumps straight
Aussie
into
just likes to jump in.
Yeah.
I reckon he's guessed Dom's sheet about 8 times.
The RAV4 knocks a couple people out because I was thinking maybe like a Roth, but his first car was a Forester.
Yeah, the Subaru.
Fun fact.
The Subaru.
You know too much
Baz,
about him.
Baz, you know anyone who drives a RAV4?
Trying to
Young
think.
boy?
Didn't you used to drive a RAV4?
This would be some kind of quiz if it was about me and I didn't know.
Was your first car RAV4?
Nah, my first car was the Jag.
Well, there you go.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah.
Of course
Yeah,
it
there
was.
it was. Right. Clue number 3. He's played over 50 games.
It's a good clue.
It's a great clue. Thank you.
Over 50 games.
Clue number 4. He has 9 tattoos. How many you got, Willow?
You have to know.
Well, the right arm's...
The right arm is just one.
but, yeah, 2 then.
2 then? Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, let's have a think. Played over 50 games, 9 tattoos.
Well, give us your ink, man.
I'm thinking TB's got some low-key ink that no one really knows about.
Chi.
Che's not under 25.
I'm terrible at this game, aren't I?
Just go someone with a
Just
bit
so
of
you
ink.
know, Oscar takes it incredibly seriously.
Yeah.
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 Do you want the 5th clue? And then you can have another guess?
Do you want us to have a stab? Just to
Yeah,
say.
go for it, you.
Is it Tom Barras?
It's not Tom Barras.
All right, there we
We
go.
move on. The 5th clue. He's contracted until 2024. As says the internet.
I would have thought the ink would have given it
The
away.
ink
straight
surely gives away.
9 tattoos.
9
I can't
tattoos.
think of anyone else.
Oh. Is it Liam Ryan?
Yeah, well done. It's Liam Ryan.
There you go.
Excellent
Great job.
stuff. For those playing along at home, that was clue 5. Probably didn't need the contracted one. Clue number 6 is he prefers PS4 to Xbox and his favourite game's Fortnite. That might have helped. Clue number 7, he's won the Bernie Naylor medal at the Waffle
Yeah,
level.
that's cute.
73 goals in the 2018 season, 2017 season.
When he got drafted.
When he got drafted, he is a father. He's won AFL Mark of the Year and he's a premiership player. So they would have definitely would have given it away post 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
happy
well
with how
done.
it went.
Yeah.
Were you thinking anywhere near that or not?
Yeah, no, I was not great at that.
Fresh contract. That's fresh contract news too.
Yeah, it is.
So congratulations to
Yeah,
Liam.
congratulations
I'm sure
to
he
Liam.
listens flat out. So well done, mate.
I think he might be turning 25 this year, so that's he's just sort of on that margin
yeah.
where which the ambiguity
And he,
really
shed
kicks
the,
in.
he shed the kegs, and the mail is out that he's absolutely going after Bolton's grab. He's keen. If there's
He's
a
keen
car,
as mustard, is he? Yeah.
He's
If-
absolutely going to say, I've got a free pass to fly for everything that's
yeah, if he didn't already have the free pass already. He was, another little fun fact about Liam, nominated for 4 out of the 5 Mark of the Years at the Waffle.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, they had one other person who had a candidate.
Yeah.
He's a superstar, and he's certainly looking forward to seeing him come back, of course. That is the Hammer Time votes.
It is.
Got there eventually.
Yeah, we did get there. Liam Ryan obviously won't be included in play. Are we kicking off now?
This is it.
Oh, shivers. Righto, here we go.
We've previewed enough. Now it's time for the votes.
Welcome. We're at the... let me just quickly run you through the leaderboard. So far, we've got 1 vote, Hearn, Kennedy, Shuey, Jack Darling, Josh Rotham. 2 votes, Sheed, McGovern. 3 votes, Nick Nat, Petruccelli, Redden. And 5 votes, Kelly. 6 votes, Oscar Allen, Tom Barrass, and Andrew Gaff.
The coveted award. The boys talk about this, I'm sure.
All the time.
All the time.
I heard, yeah.
Non-stop.
Thanks, Willow. All the time. The one vote, and I'm going to start with the one voter, and it pains me to say this because we've got a leaderboard overtaking. We've got a standout leader at the moment on 7 votes with the 1 vote for the weekend's game, Andrew Gaff.
Yep.
Couldn't go past his performance.
Well, the speech has just been put in the back pocket.
38 touches, had a lot of the footy, and really sets up a lot of our play. So he's a very, very worthy 1 vote getter.
Yep, agree with that.
The 2 votes, Dom Sheed.
I
Another
like it.
one
Yeah,
who was just, I thought, phenomenal and got better as the game went on, and has had a really, really good start to the year and a prolific ball winner and set us up through the midfield. 3 votes. This one's a pretty dead giveaway for me, Willow. I'm not sure how often you've listened, probably every week, so you will know that you'll know how much we value goals on the Coast to Coast podcast on Hammer Time Votes. And kicking 4 goals, Brendan Archie, recently married, got a kid, and he is flying on all cylinders and gone out and kicked 4. So a tremendous game for Chi.
Yeah, awesome. Got his opportunity, and similar to you, Baz, got an opportunity and played their role really well.
Yep.
I think we'll see him in the side for a little while now.
Absolutely. We've got as much as I don't like to do it, we have got a few honourable mentions. I sort of will throw these 3 up to you 3 that I've got. Brad Shepherd, I thought was a very honourable mention down back. I think he took 12 marks and really patrolled down back there really well. Reddo is chipping along and having a really good start to the year. And Aussie, I've got you as an honourable mention.
There you go.
Just the way you went back, you've been playing out of position all the up, back, forward, in the ruck. You've been thrown all over the place. You were settled down back this week. You look really composed, and I thought you were very good. So
Thanks,
there's a little
mate.
honourable mention.
An interesting one to miss out, Tim Kelly. Some may say was best on. I believe he won the coaches' votes.
Did he?
for the
Oh,
weekend.
he played well again. This is the second time I've gone against the coaches. Gov got the coaches' votes a couple of weeks back and didn't get it. But yes, obviously an honourable mention. He was very, very good. But that's the 3-2-1 for me.
The unsung hero this week is someone which is almost an accumulation of probably the last 3 weeks' performances. And for me, and I think someone who plays a really important role to our side is Jared Brander.
Yep.
And he's my unsung hero this week. Obviously, last week had 14 and 2 in the second half against Freo and played his role really well. And I think he did the exact same this weekend. Just for a bit of inside info, he plays the wing role, obviously, and he plays a role which is probably helping the defence out quite significantly. Works really hard to come back and help defend. And often plays on the fat side of the ground where there can be times where he's not getting much of the ball and he's more of a work rate type of player, and he links up our play really well and is pretty important for us.
Is this the second time he's won the Unsung Hero Award? Has he gone before? I seem to remember he's been twice.
I reckon he has been twice, but I think that his form over the last 2 weeks deserves it.
Yeah, no question about it. And a very, 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 very deserving Unsung Hero winner.
So, Bales, you've got a taste for it now, obviously, and holding a spot in the team with blokes coming in and out of the lineup. You can't control that. You can control what you can control. What are you looking forward to for the rest of the year, maybe even against the Crows this week?
Yeah, I just love another opportunity to get out there and play with the boys. It was awesome getting a win, and to get another game against the Crows would be awesome. But if not, back to the waffle and try push for selection again.
On the home deck too, Optus Stadium.
Yeah.
So you've covered them all off. You've got Queensland covered.
Yep.
MCG covered.
Yep.
And now you
Now
could have
Optus.
Optus.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Very cool. Hey, thanks for coming along. Appreciate
No worries.
it. How did you
Thanks,
go? You better for the experience, having come into the Coast to Coast?
Yeah, awesome, mate. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, he's a very outgoing person.
Yeah,
if you
awesome,
haven't already
mate.
picked it up,
Yeah,
Maz.
yeah.
No,
Love
very,
it.
very good, mate. Well done. Thanks for coming on.
Boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. Let's spend the night together from now until forever.
All right, just in summary, the Crows on the weekend, of course, they're coming off the showdown and they've been hit hard. They've got 3 major injuries out of it and a couple of other guys under an injury cloud. You get them at a good time and you might get a couple of your troops back.
Yep, hopefully we get some guys back, but AFL footy now, it's I think it's more system based than ever, and I think it's more of a game where there are not like for like replacements, but you have to find a way to play without some of your first name or first choice players. We've done that the last 3 or 4 weeks, probably the whole season really, and I'm sure they'll be the exact same. Even if you watched the showdown, they were really competitive throughout, and I didn't think the scoreline probably represented how good the game was, so we definitely know they're going to be a good challenge.
Yeah, It's going to be an interesting game to watch. I think Adelaide started the season really well, and albeit they did lose on the weekend, they've got some really dangerous players. They're a quality lineup, and it'll be a really good game for us. So I'm looking forward to it.
It would be, but you've got the Waffle weekend off because of the state game, which we spoke about earlier in the show.
Yes, yeah, we do. The Waffle Eagles have got the weekend off, which comes at a great time for us. We've got, obviously we haven't had the start to this year that we would have wanted. We've got a bye and then a block of 3 games and then another bye, so we can really take this week, refresh ourselves, reset, and then launch into what hopefully is going to be a successful 3 weeks.
Before we let you go, Oscar, been very big on socials. The newcomer to the Oscar Allen household. How is the dog going?
Little
Lenny, yeah, he's going well.
King.
He's quite young, so he's a bit chirpy. The best lip I've ever gotten in an AFL game is standing in the goal square and a Hawthorn supporter in their cheer squad in the crowd behind me yells out, "Your dog Lenny sucks." And I just was... I turned around, had a laugh and gave him the thumbs up, which was very good. Got a laugh out of all 15 Hawthorn supporters that are out in the game, so well done.
There you go. And and just on the socials, if anyone would like to send us something in about how, or maybe potentially send Aussie something in about how to keep a young dog quiet, that would be great, because that thing just yaps on, doesn't he?
He's generally been okay, but last night something was up his... You know what, and very chirpy, very, very chirpy.
Hey, boys, wonderful show. Thanks to Bailey Williams for joining us as well. Hammer, enjoy the weekend off, great man.
Thank you.
And Oscar, good luck against the Crows on the weekend. This has been Coast to Coast.
Thank you very much. Good
See you
stuff.
guys
See you
later.
next week.